So the new Woody Allen movie is finally out. A Rainy Day in New York. And this is a movie that features Timothée Chalamet, who at one point is called a 6 out of 10 by a girl, which we all know is a big fat lie. And Elle Fanning, who every man in Hollywood seems to adore, which is completely unbelievable.
I got an interview with Roland Pollard.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. And it's on campus?
Mm-mm. It's in Manhattan.
But yes, this is the new Woody Allen movie. This is a movie that has been on the shelf for 2 years now, I think since 2018, because a sexual misconduct allegation from the 90s keeps coming back to haunt him, essentially. And mainly because of that, this movie got put on the shelf, and it finally got released on VOD. And I watched it, obviously, I want to be here. So let's talk about Woody Allen really quick. Woody Allen is a director who I am fascinated with. Everything he produces, I will watch, fully realizing that he is the most hit-and-miss director I think I have ever seen. And it was bad, but not as terrible as I thought it would be. This movie has been kind of getting reamed since it released.
Let's just focus on the film. It's rubbish, and it's a real shame just how rubbish it is. I think it's his worst film, or at least it's the worst film of his that I can bring to mind.
The biggest problem with this movie is that it feels like Woody Allen didn't care or try, really. This script feels like a first draft, and the direction and cinematography especially seems as if they just shot it and then we're done. Like one take and they're out type of thing. Because there are so many scenes in this where it feels like, we'll talk about the script really quick, it just starts and stops. There are a lot of scenes in this that just kind of happen out of nowhere and then they don't have a conclusion. There's one scene in particular where Elle Fanning is at a Hollywood party thing, and 3 times in a row you get a scene where 3 different Hollywood people that have met her, a director, a writer, and an actor, all confess their love for her, and they all lead nowhere. And there are quite a few scenes in this movie where that happens. There are scenes when Timothée Chalamet simply walks into a room and then the scene ends. It's the most baffling thing. But even worse is the directing and cinematography. It's shocking. It's appalling at times. They even did day for night. Day for night. Don't ever do that. This is the city that never sleeps. You couldn't get a shot at night? Day for night looks bad in low-budget movies. It looks so much worse when Timothée Chalamet is on screen. When he's walking down a New York street and it's clearly broad daylight outside and you just slap a blue filter on it to make it look like night, it doesn't. It looks terrible. But not only is that terrible, but there are a lot of weird and questionable decisions in the filmmaking department as well. The color grading's really warm and kind of Woody Allen. It's very nice. And then the next cut is, it looks like they didn't color grade it at all. It's like a bus going down a road and it's just gray. Did you try? Did you even color grade it? There are quite a few scenes where it just feels like they didn't color grade the scene. But it gets better. There are a lot of one-takes in this, which normally I praise for being impressive and highly coordinated and very meticulous. This is not the case with this movie. Usually there are long one-takes between one character talking to another character, which isn't that impressive. And it's even less impressive when the actors seem like they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. There are quite a few scenes where the actors, who a lot of times I didn't recognize, seem like they don't know what their emotions are supposed to be, or they just straight up mess up a line. I mean, Rebecca Hall is a great actor, and at one point she's fighting with Jude Law, and it seems like she flubs her line, and they just kept it in. And then there's a time when Timothée Chalamet is talking with like his brother, and his brother says he can't go through with his marriage, and he looks like he's constantly on the verge of laughing, even though he just said he can't go through with his marriage.
Just out here trying to create a modern film noir classic.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to be in it? Hey.
Should we do this?
Smell like bitch in here, or y'all smell like bitch to me.
So there's a lot of weirdness in the technical department of this movie. It really does seem like Woody Allen just shot the scene once and then said, yeah, it's fine. We're moving on. Yeah, we're moving on. The script, I wrote it in an hour. It just whatever it says, we'll go with it. We'll shoot it once. But not only is the filmmaking really not good here, and some of the acting, like I mentioned, not great here either, but some of the writing is really annoying, which is a problem a lot of Woody Allen movies have. He seems to be very self-indulgent at times, even extending to the point where a lot of his characters just actively sound like him. And that's the problem that happens here as well. A lot of these characters just sound like Woody Allen. Not everybody knows classic film references Woody. Not everybody knows these things. Not everybody talks in these incredibly quippy, fast-paced monologues. Not everybody does that. Why does everyone do that in this, except for Elle Fanning, who I'll talk about later? The only person that it should happen with is Timothée Chalamet, because his character's name is literally Gatsby. So yeah, it would make sense if this pretentious art school student named Gatsby was saying some old film reference or speaking some French language and having a cigarette holder. Sure, I buy that. But when certain other characters are also making film references or also talking in this super quippy way or fast-paced way that Woody Allen likes to write, it gets less believable. It starts to feel pretty self-indulgent.
And literally every time he says his name, I'm surprised that everyone on screen doesn't go, what? You're called what?
All of this annoyances aside, there is a movie here that works. It's not all of it. There's a lot of scenes that go nowhere, but I think the structure of this is actually pretty good. You have an A story and a B story with Timothée Chalamet and Elle Fanning. One is walking and floundering about New York, kind of just happening into things, Timothée Chalamet, and the other is floundering about New York, happening to walk into things, Elle Fanning. They both have very similar stories, but are on polar opposite sides of the spectrum. Elle Fanning is kind of involved with all of these Hollywood people, and she's getting like tossed about, trying to find certain people, trying to do certain things, trying to interview this guy. Oh no, we're going to dinner now. And then Timothée Chalamet is like, I'm just walking around. Oh, I remember you. Oh, you were annoying. Oh, I'm going to be in this movie. Okay. So it feels completely different. One feels a little bit more high energy with Elle Fanning, and one is a lot more, mellow, a lot more chill with Timothée Chalamet, and that sort of reflects their characters. Elle Fanning is this kind of ditzy, airheaded reporter who's kind of prissy, and Timothée Chalamet is this downtrodden, kind of tortured artist type of character who is cliche and pretentious, but that's the character, so it's okay.
$70 million movie, and Raleigh's very unhappy with it.
You call him Raleigh?
Yeah, and Ted and I, we have to find him before he has one of his crazy fits.
Who's Ted?
What the hell?
The best character is Elle Fanning. I actually think she's great in this. She is one of the only people who doesn't just sound like Woody Allen. She actually brings a charisma to the role that's all her own, and she completely nails it. She's great in this, and she really sells this character that I really liked watching. She gets herself into some crazy situations just because she keeps saying yes to people. And I thought that was very fun and very satisfying, aside from the few scenes, or many scenes, that just go nowhere. There really isn't a ton here to latch onto. I think the romance at the heart of it is wishy-washy. It's a romance after all, and it doesn't quite nail it. I think it does right at the end. The last 5 minutes of this are wonderful. I love that. I think the romance there is great, but at times it feels like it's neither here or there. And this is also a comedy, and I didn't find it particularly funny. I felt like it was trying a bit too hard, and the Woody Allen dialogue does get stilted and feel a little pretentious at times.
Take off your raincoat.
I can't. I have no clothes underneath.
I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10, which is a below average rating, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's a terrible movie. It has a lot of bad qualities. I mean, don't ever do Day for Night. What are you thinking? And actually try next time, get past the first draft maybe, and then you might have something good. Because again, the structure's great. A couple of the characters work pretty well. Elle Fanning is awesome in this. And the romance right at the end is really nice. So if you tighten this up, if you actually had scenes that paid off, were set up and paid off, I think this could be great. I really do. There is something here, but it isn't with this movie, unfortunately. So if you want to watch a, at times, nice, warm romance movie, you could watch this. Or you could just watch one of his other more recent movies that's just nice and inviting, like Cafe Society. I really like that one. But yeah.